Hey, what's up, Couch Potatoes? We are back with another episode of House of the Dragon in the books. This is episode 5 of season 2, called Regent. Now, I believe that's correct. I don't know. It seems like these episode titles seem to be a mystery every single week. It's almost like it's like it is with our school stuff, where they say, "Hey, you've got to find out this secret message, but you got to use this decoder ring and go on 4 different social media sites to figure it out." That's how I feel about trying to find episode titles for this. But hey, if there's a easier way, please let me know. So, guys, as always, we're going to be talking about spoilers for this episode. But beware, if you haven't watched yet, obviously I don't know why you'd be here, but we won't be talking about anything that has happened in the books past this point, because my wife, not a reader of this book, and I am. So, this episode was very much going to be transitory, and I expected that. It was going to be a little slower. You and I don't seem to care about slow Song of Ice and Fire stuff, because we love the world, and that's just one of the things that makes us give a damn about those events. But
I do think this, out of all the, because I thought beheading a child and twin battles were action, but I will acknowledge this is
the slowest this season, for sure.
The slowest this
season.
And
I knew that. There's going to be a lot of setup, but after you have a big event like that, because
you need that.
Most shows, Battle of Rook's Rest would have been the finale, you
right.
know? So this was just kind of like, that was almost felt like the mid-season finale. This is kind of like where we reset everything, because I know it's coming on episode 8, and it's going to be worth the build-up, I think, but it is going to be a little slower after that. But this episode, I'm going to kind of, instead of bouncing around like the show does, I'm just going to kind of try to gather everything into like 3 different groups here. You know, we're going to do like King's Landing, we're going to do Harrenhal, and we're going to do Dragonstone. But beginning, actually, we're going to begin with the Driftmark, because we got Corlys there, and Corlys is very depressed, understandably so, losing his wife. So basically, Rhaenyra offers Corlys the Hand of the Queen. I almost put Hand of the King in my notes here. Hand of the Queen, and has his daughter deliver it to him. I guess you feel like that might be like a little bit of a sympathy. Granddaughter, sorry. When it comes to like, I struggle with this stuff in real life. Like, is that your nephew? Is that your cousin? I don't even understand how this works. With the Targaryens, I really don't get it. It's just like, yeah, they're all related. That's kind of how I do. Hey, you like record stuff? I mean, I know you're new at this and all, but it's.
I'm not used to people actually wanting to talk to me.
Only when you're recording. I've noticed I don't put this in airplane mode. I'm always going to get hit. In fact, I got to put mine back in airplane mode now. Okay, I had to look up the episode title. But yeah, it is something a little newer. In the book, he's really just pissed off, and that's basically how Rhaenyra gets him to stay, is by offering him Hand of the King, because he's ready to say, okay, it should have been you. Why'd you send my wife out there? And he's ready to go.
Well, and okay, so in the book, did she send his wife? Because in the show, she stepped up. I don't want to say as far as volunteered, but she said, I am the dragon rider for this job.
If I recall, again, when you say this is all based off of people who weren't there.
Sure.
If I recall correctly, yes, it is one of those things where she's willing to go. You know, it's like her duty. But I don't know. I might have to fact check me on that one. I'm not really sure. But I just know that Corlys was very pissed off about it.
And then this is where I'm going to bring in Baela, because Baela way impressed me this episode. She might be my new favorite. Yeah. She, granddaughter goals, she went, talked down her grandpa, spoke up for her grandma, saying this is what she would have wanted. Also in this episode, she was wife goals, consoling and relating to Jace. And she was also a good daughter-in-law, or even just subject to Rhaenyra. So Baela's goals.
Yeah, I think it takes a lot of courage just, to go off of look, a lot of these arranged marriages, they never come to be, if we're being honest.
Right.
And for her to say, I'm fire and blood, not salt and sea, when he says, I want you to be the heir to the Driftmark, it took a lot of courage, I think, because most people are like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to keep it in the family. But I don't know. I just thought that was
self-awareness.
Very
this
cool.
is not the role for me.
Yeah, I thought that was very cool. So he's, we see at the end, he does eventually look like he's deciding to. He does take the hand out and he grabs it. He's going to do it. But I think, knowing what I know, he's going to have a few. He's going to have a few stipulations before he signs on the dotted line, I guess you'd say.
Well, and I do think there are some other candidates for Driftmark.
Yeah, because he does need an heir at this point. So.
Yeah, and then I think there's a couple other candidates.
And who are they?
Rhaenyra's kids with
Daemon.
Okay.
Joffrey and Aegon the Younger.
Aegon the Younger. I was gonna say, I remember Joffrey. I couldn't remember the other one.
There's also maybe these bastards that they keep showing. They keep going Alan and Adam of Hull.
And Rhaena.
Raina. Okay.
Bela's little sister. Why is she is getting passed over left and right? Bless her heart.
Sometimes that's what happens when you're younger. They can't exactly send her to the wall.
Right. So, but I think she's looking to step up and serve in some way. Not happy with nursemaid to the heirs or the young dragons, although
I did like
think
the
it's an
story
important role.
about how Melees wouldn't ever bond with any of the men that they tried, but Rhaenys was the one that got Melees to bond. I thought that was a really cool story and kind of a nice farewell to the queen that never was. I think that was a really good story. Really good. Speaking of Melees, let's move to your boy Crispy Cole. He was almost crispy last episode.
Sure.
He thinks it's a baller move to just parade Melees. I get mad because I'm like, stop calling her Malays. She's not a Malays, and then I do it.
That's not good.
Melees having the head kind of roam through the streets and seeing people don't react well. That the small folk are not really a fan of this. I honestly. Where I'm coming from, I think this is really where they were trying to distract from the fact that, King Aegon, he's all fucked up, and we don't want you to know about it. So, hey, look at this shiny object.
Huge rotting dragon head. Eyes over here, please.
But I think it backfired. You hear a lot of people being like, it's an ill omen, and people, they look at these dragons like gods and stuff. I mean, think about how many times Melees has probably flown through the city, and people have seen it, That's like
iconic to them.
That's like if you have a family dog, and then your family separates, and then they bring back the dead dog. It's like, well, why would you do this? Yeah.
Even beyond that, if you're small folk and you see a dragon head paraded to the city, you're like, great, I can't wait till the next group of dragons come to retaliate. And I have zero defense.
So speaking of Aegon, seeing him get basically a skin peeled off along with the Conqueror's armor.
The noises.
Now, I don't look like they're going to do that, and I imagine the makeup would be a little tough for them to do on this show, but he did have some of the Conqueror's armor burn into his arm. Basically, he has RoboCop arm. The rest of his time in this world. And I don't think they're going to do that, but it was very much showing Maester Orwell trying to do his work there. And by the way, it's quit interrupting this poor guy. Let him do his work. Good Lord. Leave him alone. But I mean, I understand. Mother's going to be like, oh my God, right? But that was pretty nasty. The sound. It was the sound more than the visuals to me, just ripping his skin off with... So is there any coming back from that? Just a lot of aloe, or no silk sheets ever again, or how do you come back from something like this?
I'm not sure. They definitely had some sort of game plan because they had buckets ready to go to wrap him in, and I don't know. They did the gold hand for Jaime. They might be able to rig up something for Aegon if Aegon
give him
ever
some
comes
Ivar
back.
the boneless legs, some iron legs, that's from Vikings. So I mean, were you surprised that Aegon? 'Cause I know last week you said you thought Aegon was dead. Are you surprised he's alive?
Yeah, I'm wondering to what end is he alive? I don't know.
No, forgive me if I'm wrong. Did they say that Sunfire was dead?
There's no confirmation, but that's the rumor. That's what Rhaenyra's house assumes, and
all I'll say is that's not the end of Sunfire's story in the book. So if the show is doing it that way, it's one way. So I won't say anything just in case they are just going to do it in a different way. I'll just leave it like that.
So maybe they want people to assume Sunfire's dead and he's not. And but I do think the dragon count is very important going forward. So having a mystery number of dragons is an issue.
A little chart, and I was like, I got to pause that and study it.
Yes,
because I've read this, and you're dealing with 24 dragons here. Right. It's hard to keep.
And not to mention eggs.
Yeah. So, but I find it interesting that now Helena is something they're doing a little different in the show, and I brought this up that Helena after. Jaehaerys is killed, she just kind of goes further in the madness. Not like the madness that she already had. I mean, just with grief and depression, and pretty much to a point to where she's just a shell of her former self.
In the books, she's prophetic. Is she having predictions in the book, or is it just nonsensical?
If it is, it isn't to this level again, because we don't get inside these characters' heads like you were a regular George R. R. book. But this, I find it interesting that it seems like not only is she sticking around, but she's going to have some kind of role to play, because she does seem to know what Aemon did. She asks him, was it worth it? What he did while he's sitting there just drooling over the throne, realizing he's really that close to finally being on it. So I'll be
Will
interested
he
to see what they
sit
do
the
with her.
throne as regent, or does he have to like pull up a wooden chair next
You
to
know,
the throne?
I remember Ned sat on it when Robert was incapacitated, and I remember
Okay.
when Joffrey was still being a little shit. I remember Tywin sitting on it. So I think that you do. I don't think that Alicent did because she had her own throne when she was kind of regent. Because I don't think she was ever like officially named regent.
Well, no, I don't
Yeah.
think so either. Because good Lord knows you can't have a lady on the throne.
Yeah,
that'd
yeah.
be crazy.
So I mean, and girls, ugh, gosh, ugh. So Aemon is the first one to suggest that hey, someone's going to need to rule in his stead. So he's planting that seed really, really quick.
Oh, going to girls not being able to be on the throne.
And that leads us, of
Yeah.
course. I mean, were you shocked that the Green Council was going to rule? I mean, Maester Orwell, again, he's the only one who really has her back there. Like, hey, she's done this job, guys. Why do you not want to use the person who's done this job? But he
I feel
gets out.
zero bad for Alicent. You put
Okay.
bros before hoes, and you're not a girl's girl, so you reap what you sow.
So you're saying that Kristen basically betraying her did not surprise you one fuck?
Did he betray her? Did he ever pledge his support for her to be on the throne? I think not.
Okay.
I don't even think he betrayed her. I think the fact that she's surprised or miffed is a shock only to her.
And I guess I feel like, when you're sleeping with someone, you think you've got their trust, and not always. Not always. And,
Clearly not.
Didn't seem like they had the most healthy relationship.
Yeah,
in
I
that
was
regard
saying,
anyway.
I don't even think that's, part of their relationship.
I don't know.
Because did she support him being hand? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so now she feels like, she's lost her husband. Now she's probably lost her son, or he's a vegetable. And she's lost,
grandson.
her dad isn't there for anymore. So it's like she's lost everything, man. She's just there now. She's just, the previous queen. Okay, go play with your dolls
Go
or
make
something.
a tapestry.
That's how they're going to
Go make a tapestry.
Go play with your dolls. Yeah. Besides, he destroyed Viserys's dolls in his Lego play set and all. But Aemon, he's got no problem taking over. I don't know if it's just look. I like to believe that Aemon's just a man of action. But it seemed like, okay, as soon as they name me, I've got this, and this planned. I got my plans ready to go. Immediately grabs the ball. He's like, he starts making commands. He starts talking about all these things they're going to do.
These were
Meet with the
things he was
police.
going to do anyway because he was never
Right.
held back from Aegon.
Right.
He was going to enact these things anyway.
So I have a question for you. This is something I'm a little confused by. If all these peasants are trying to get out, I understand not wanting anybody to get in. Why are they trying to keep everyone from getting out? What does it benefit them for the peasants to stay in King's Landing?
Well, they're building the siege weapons and armor and whatever else. I mean, that's what Huge Hammer.
Hugh Hammer.
Hugh Hammer.
Huge Hammer.
I'm sticking with Huge Hammer.
Well, I am now.
He's working on he's saying I'm not getting paid. So if they lose these peasants now, not only are they losing control and it makes them look weak by defecting, but that's also their workhorses.
So I'm just like, look, you can't feed these people. I just don't understand why you just let them go. What do you care if there's a bunch of peasants? But no, that makes sense, especially someone like Hugh who's working on those ballistas and stuff. So that's that's a bad
they're
break.
working on to defend against attacking dragons.
Yeah, especially if Vagar is recovering, like is pointed out later.
I don't know what recovering entails because I don't think he took much damage. Is he just getting his wind back? Or
I mean, you don't think
building his firestorm?
Well, pretty old. It's like it's kind of like the old war general that can get up for one fight, but it's going to take a little longer to recuperate because she is an old lady. But I don't know. I don't feel like she got off scot-free. I mean, she did take some fire. She did take some claws.
She got clawed, but comparatively.
I've started just kind of referring to these dragons in like a third person because I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I forget which ones are male and which ones are female sometimes. So I had so many people bring up last week. Vagar's a girl, and I called it him, and that's on me. Sometimes I forget these things. Again, there's a lot of these dragons. So I like him asking to have ordering the rat catchers to be cut down. So I think that Aemon's it's like buckle up Westeros. It's that time. Don't get me wrong, because he is very much just like Daemon, just on a different side of a coin. I think is the way somebody put it. I feel like
same side of the coin.
Whereas Aegon, I think he was acting out of rage, understandably. Again, I lost a kid. I'd be a complete lunatic.
Yeah.
So I get it, but I do think that he is going to be a little bit more tighter of a ruler. Let's put it that way. Even if it might just be kind of like an iron fist kind of rule. So don't cross them. That's all I'll say. Don't cross them. So the Black Council, again, I think we're kind of getting the mirroring with all this stuff and seeing how Alicent got kind of cock-blocked out. Hey, is there a better word for it? The Black Council's kind of cock-blocked, right? I mean, they're talking like she's not even in the room at one point. She has to forcefully interject herself back into the conversation because they say, oh, yeah, the girls can't help during wartime. And I'm saying, like, you guys are even, she even says, you guys came up under my father's rule, a time of peace.
Rule, yeah.
You don't know war either. Quit acting like you do, you know? But I understand the politics of the time period here and this world, but it's just like, are you guys trying to piss off the person who can just like kick you out and say, get lost? I mean, I understand that they think that, okay, well, she needs us more than we need her. I don't think so, guys.
I don't either.
Because you didn't bend the knee. You're going to be beheaded as you know, as traitors if you try to switch sides. I don't know. Kristen's got kind of a weird rule going on his own, but I don't know. I just feel like they should be treating her with a touch more respect. And I think Rhaenys being like her last, you know, bullet that she had that was on her side not being there anymore. They think, okay, it's time for us to take over this party a little bit. But still, it's heartbreaking to see.
It's not surprising. It's but then she still has women to go to council to with Meleys.
Massaria. Now, Massaria does actually,
and Baela.
She actually does suggest, you know, there's more than one way to fight a war, you know, because the people, clearly they're very upset
ground up
with what's going on at King's Landing right now. Let's send someone out there, sow a little discontent. So, yeah, she is very much the Varys of this time. You know, she can get her handmaiden in there who has a lot of connections. Now, they keep talking about this old serving wench. Was she a serving wench, or she used to be actually a handmaiden?
Handmaiden.
And then she got reduced to a serving wench, I think, because Aegon, she had Aegon's bastard baby, and they tried to make her. I think that maybe because this isn't in the book, guys. I think that they're going to try to say that she has one of Aegon's bastards or something like that. I think that's what they're trying to play into here.
I kind of feel that, but
I don't really see what it would benefit.
Possibly.
What it would benefit the blacks though. It's like, oh, that's what I need is another person that's going to be some kind of black mark on my potential rule. I don't know. I don't know what they're.
Oh no, I think it'll be. Oh my gosh! Like in Game of Thrones, how they had one of the kids from.
What, Edric Snow?
Well, or.
The show didn't do Edric Snow.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Gendry? Who are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Therion from the islands.
Theon Greyjoy?
Theon, thank you.
There's a lot of names, guys. It's been a while.
Theon. So Theon was
they want to just keep him
raised
as a
by the
ward?
Starks, as it's, they treated Theon well.
I'm just not seeing how that would benefit the Black Council, like, at all. The blacks. How would that benefit the blacks to have Aegon's bastard?
And then I keep it as a ward.
All right, I don't see where you're going with this, but okay.
I've got one over on you. I have your child.
Well, the last thing that Aegon would want is another claim to his throne. So he would want the bastard dead. And Rhaenyra is not going to want another bastard out there saying, okay, he's got some kind of claim to the throne as well.
He's an infant.
All right, we can disagree on.
I don't know. You're asking why. I think that's the biggest power play is I can control your bloodline.
Like I said, this character is in the books at all, as far as I recall. So it's I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think it's kind of her in somehow finding a way to get back into the castle since she just does know Alicent, maybe. I don't know. We'll see what's going to go on with that, but that is obviously the way that women are going to fight a battle like this when the men won't let them do what they could be doing is, leading a little bit of the whisper. So I look forward to the chess match between Larys and Massaria here. Yeah, I think there's going to be a nice little chess match going on within those walls of King's Landing. So Jace decides to put on his big boy pants. He's tired of sitting on the bench, and he's just going to say, he's going to do that thing that rebellious teenagers do. We're going to find out about this very soon, sadly. And he's just going to do what he does and say, look, I'm going to get in trouble anyway. Might as well just go do what I need to do and then come back and get my lashes later. But I actually think what he does a good job treating with the phrase.
Yes.
And I just have to say, I never will ever get tired of seeing some of these historic landmarks. We get to see the Eyrie in this episode, and it looks so much better than it did on the first season of Game of Thrones. It looks awesome. We got to see Jane Eyre. That was really cool. But I thought that seeing the twins was amazing, because as far as I recall, we never saw it from that angle before.
No, not that angle.
You didn't really see the crossing.
Right.
That was really rad. I was really excited to see that. Even though it did still, I did feel like Jason was like, I was like,
why? Yeah, he did look like
it did look
sitting
like
at a child's
sitting
seat
at a kid's table, because I
yeah.
asked her at one point, I was like, is Lord Frey like a dwarf?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Yeah, it was
It's an interesting table, but yeah, they do have their stipulations. They want Harrenhal.
Why?
And I always talk about this. Everybody is scared of Harrenhal, but everybody seems to want it. I don't know. I don't have an answer
does it
for you.
control a specific choke point? I feel like
Maybe they're
twins
thinking because the Freys are under the rule of House Tully right now. Maybe they're trying to make a play to just get more land.
Take over the
you know?
Riverlands.
Yeah,
and be
get
Lord
more
of the
land.
Riverlands?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe.
But they're not the only ones who want it. Like Daemon's trying to run seat from there.
I mean, historically, what we know about the Freys, they're a little bit opportunist. So
A little bit.
Yeah. I mean. I don't
But
know.
Rhaenyra sent Daemon to make a play for Harrenhal for her own side. Like everybody's trying to, but the people in Harrenhal are like, have at it.
We don't want it.
Please.
Please take it. Yeah, no, it's great. Please take it. It's
all
great.
yours, bud.
But he says, basically he makes a deal. Okay, well, you got to bend the knee. And so it does look like the Freys are on board. And I'm sure it'll end well, because everything Frey ends well. Always does.
Good omens.
Let's talk about your boy Daemon here. Still having his weirdo fever dreams again, because everything at Harrenhal is messed up. It's easy. I think they're doing a good job of showing why everybody thinks this place is haunted. And because we've got all kinds of things to talk about with Alice here. So Daemon tries to get the Brackens and the Blackhoods to basically, just shut the F up and join, raise banners for me, get over your petty bullshit, and just come fight for me. And they're basically like, death before dishonor. And they really are. They're ready to take the fire blast. And he turns his back to him. And you see Caraxes warming up, and you're thinking, and then he doesn't do it. And he's like saying, I don't need corpses, man. I need these men. So I just thought that was really, really powerful to show them. Their Hatfields and McCoys, that goes far over anything that's going on in the kingdom. Nothing else matters
but that's their daily
rivalry.
life. Whatever's going on in the Red Keep doesn't affect their daily life.
Yeah, so I thought that was cool. But he just basically says, hey, do whatever you need to do to the
persuade
the Brackens. I want to call them the Blackens. That's their houses. If they work things out, they'd be the Blackens. Yeah, they join together. That there's houses that would never merge. It's those two. But basically tells them do whatever you need to do. We find out about that later. Doesn't very end well. But
this is and both of those are kind of instances where we talk about Chris and Cole not really understanding the small folk, and clearly Daemon doesn't either when he says any son will do. No, friend, clearly not. And then he's got this where he's like,
Daemon's a man of action. He's not a man of strategy.
Right.
He tried to flex his dragon muscle there, and they didn't bite.
Yes,
he didn't know what
and
to
then
do.
it was like,
he has no idea what to do.
And he's like, what do I do now? He's like, I still need bodies, so I gave you the ultimatum, and you chose death, and I don't want you to choose death. Then he says, persuade these people, and that comes back to bite him, because they're like, we don't want to be persuaded anymore, but we're not going to bow the knee to you unless you show that you can be a good ruler.
Not going to raise our banners for a tyrant.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, you're...
So, George R.R. story never has a problem with doing a little bit of incest every few pages, but it's having a fever dream of screwing your mom that you never even really remembered because died when you were really young. Is that too far? Asking for a friend. No? Yeah? That was
Edible.
weird. That was very weird. Like at the point she was like, hey, maybe that's Alice and she just has a blonde hair. I'm like, I don't think so.
No, I was looking, I was like, it's not Alice with blonde hair.
And then I thought it was I can't think of her name right now, Viserys' first wife. I thought it was his wife for a second, and I was like, no. But it turns out it was supposed to be Daemon's mom, who Alice actually brings up later and says, isn't it a shame that you never met her?
Got to know your mother.
This woman is manipulating the hell out of him. But something I've been hearing a lot of is people asking, not necessarily is Alice real, but can anyone else see her? Because we haven't seen anybody else interact with her. And again, that flies into the three-eyed raven kind of theory, where I've always said I felt like she was a priestess of Ashai.
Oh yeah.
But that would actually makes a lot of sense, because even the point where Daemon's talking to her and Simon Strong walks in there and just starts talking to him, not like, oh, don't let me interrupt. Not, He did like look like he looks over, but it also could have been like, who are you talking to, dude? You know, but you talked about but you said who's healing his hand.
Yeah.
He's waking up with bloody hands all the time in these dreams. I don't necessarily know his hand was actually bleeding from that axe.
I think yes.
I don't know. I think these are all, and this is stuff that I love because I have no idea on the answer for this.
I kind of remember when he first comes to Harrenhal, her moving in that dining space and people having to make way.
I don't know. I feel like I could go either way with
eyes
this.
tracking her.
Until I see someone else interact with her, I'm sticking with this theory because I've said that in reading the book I thought Red Priestess, and now watching the show I think Three-Eyed Raven. So, I mean, you got all the weirwood trees everywhere. You know, it makes sense. Or the castle basically being made off of the back of weirwood trees. I got to give credit to Simon Strong, the line of the episode, though, where he's like, you should call me the king or whatever. And he's like, who sits next to the queen? He's like, the king. And before Daemon starts talking again, he goes, consort. What a burn.
No, Daemon says like, well, there you go. Or there
consort,
it is.
Yeah.
And then he adds consort. Oh.
Yeah, so I think we got the
Simon Strong,
the
not weak at all.
The definite answer, and no, how strong's they're very. It's not just a clever name. I think we do get the definite answer with this, though, that Daemon does very much to rule, and if Rhaenyra wants to be by my side, she can.
Oh, he's making his own play for the claim.
Yeah,
if he can rally an army.
And even if it does look like Alice
Harrenhal.
is kind of pushing him in that direction, I think a little bit. But again, this is stuff I don't have answers for. This is really fun stuff here. And I'm interested to see where it does go. So, any predictions? Because I think the episode does end with Jace actually suggesting, we've got these dragons but no riders, maybe it doesn't have to be one of us. Maybe it could be what I call thin bloods. These are bastards, quarter bloods, things like that. People that have a little bit of Targaryen or Valyrian in their blood. Now, is it just supposed to be
Targaryens or any Valyrian? Because I'm under the assumption it's any Valyrian, which leads me to wonder, why doesn't Corlys have a dragon?
I mean,
could he have a dragon?
It doesn't work like that, though. The dragon really decides.
Well,
because you have plenty of Targaryens, and it's just like, get the fuck back. You know? It really just it's just perchance, really.
It's a bond opportunity, but it doesn't seem like every Valyrian even is interested in such an opportunity. Yeah,
so they got all these scrolls and they got all the histories and all that, and they can kind of look up the bloodlines and all that. Now, we've already been introduced to a few of them. Ulf White, who has flat out told you he was a dragon seed. Mm-hmm. And there is also two others that have been introduced on the show, and I guess I shouldn't say, in case you haven't put it together, who they are yet. Ulf is the only one who's come out and said, I'm a dragon seed.
Well, I thought there were three others.
There are three others. They haven't even introduced the fourth one yet on the show, which make me wonder if they've even cast this character or if they're going to write the character out completely. But two more that have been introduced on the show are dragon seeds, and I think that's where we're going to be. See, because the sowing of the seeds has officially begun. This is a very big arc in the Dance of Dragons because this is kind of what, it looks like Team Black's taking some losses. These some things that kind of maybe, weaponizes things a little bit more going forward. And I'm excited to watch because I've got to learn the names of all these dragons and who goes to who because while you're reading it, you can be like, okay, I think I got it. And there's a lot of E's and Z's kind of names in there. You start to get them all kind of mixed up, unless there's one with a really fancy name like Moon Dancer or something like that. You remember names.
Sunfire's a good name.
You remember names like that. Yeah, she has two little My Little Ponies that she's actually kind of renamed. The one is actually called Moon Dancer.
I'll say Moon Dancer.
But you called another one Sunfire.
One of my lead ponies.
Who's Sunfire?
It's actually Sunspot.
Sunspot is Sunfire, and she has check out her Instagram. She's got a picture of it. It's really cute.
So that's kind of where I ended on the episode is I need to get a grip on. I wasn't really concerned with the dragon seeds.
We need to do like we did.
What available dragons are out there?
So like when we were watching Lost or when we were watching Dark, we need to get out the dry erase board and start doing like the little flow chart. Okay, we can do that.
And then I was looking for.
We'll show it. We'll show it next week. We'll get a dry erase board. We'll show it. We'll show the chart.
And I was looking for just the pairings we already have. Right, I have Rhaenyra and Syrax, Daemon and Caraxes, Jace and Vermax, Baela and Moondancer.
I see. I always forget Jace's dragon's name.
The Veil Dragons for the Joffrey and his brother, Aegon the Younger. Mm-hmm. Tyrax and Stormcloud. Rhaena.
Sea Smoke is
Rhaena
unclaimed.
is a Valyrian without a dragon. Laenor's
Sea Smoke's a dragon without a rider.
Yeah, I'm like, this could not work out better, but okay. Corlys is a Valyrian without a dragon.
Well, I think that she just she's still
We had
so
some
hurt about
eggs.
she's still so hurt about losing Vagar. I guess she just
Yes.
holds on to hope that one day she'll get Vagar. I don't know. I don't know what she's doing.
I would say Vagar is chosen. But they actually brought up there's a dragon in the pit on Dragonstone that hasn't been claimed.
Vermithor, I think. Vermithor?
That sounds
Vermithor?
right. And then they brought up another dragon where I was like, that's not sea smoke, but I was more concerned about riderless dragons than potential dragon riders. So I started like, who are the dragons I know, and started pairing them
It'll all
off.
come up before the end. Like I said,
Yeah.
it's more of I have a hard time remembering whose dragon is whose, and a lot of these names are very similar, much like Targaryen names. Imagine that, because George is just. He's just such a joker. So for the episode, we felt like it was the slowest. I felt like we've talked longer than we have for any of these yet, I think. So that's...
But
that
you're
says
covering a lot of information for this transition, so...
Yeah, so the episodes like this are important, guys. They're very, very important. So if you just got so excited by the pew-pew blow-up last episode, just wait. You're going to get more of it this season. Even if I still say it probably won't happen until the finale. But trust me, it's going to be worth it. I'm very excited to see it. So you still enjoy? Are you enjoying season 2 better than season 1? That's cool.
I don't know if I'm enjoying it better, but I'm enjoying it. Yes, I love. There's a lot more details or throwbacks I feel like I'm getting.
Because I remember something you said. I think it was like we had like 1 or 2 episodes left in the first season, and I was as hyped as always, and you were like, "I'll be honest, it's just fine. I don't really care as much as you do." Now, be honest. Did you feel like that with the show, or were you still just salty about George not finishing the book?
No, I felt like that with the show, but I also thought all of these books were being done in one season, and I'm like, I don't really see anything happening. I didn't realize this was the
season 1 with all the jumping
prequel.
around.
Yeah.
With all the jumping around, I felt like that probably.
So
chased off some
it was
people,
layering a history or a foundation for this, and so this is more enjoyable.
Yeah,
but
that's what
upon
people say.
reflection, it makes the first season more powerful.
I heard some people after the Rook's Rest episode, they were so hyped, they just started over. They started watching the show again. They're like, season 1 on rewatch is so much better. And
I can see that 100%. I can.
Yeah,
see
if you've
that.
read it, I think it's obviously going to be much cooler than it was just watching it as a casual. That's what I'm calling casual. Even though you've read 5
only.
Song of Ice and Fire books, I'm going to call her a casual.
Well,
you could
I'd read them all if they were all there to read.
You could read Dunk and Egg. I think you'd like that, or Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
I
I
thought
think
about
you'd like
reading
that.
Dunk and Egg, but I will abstain.
They are making
protest.
Dunk and Egg, and like I keep saying every week, it's only a matter of when, not if, that we get Aegon's Conquest. And they're laying so many seeds for that this year.
Although, I am wearing, this is what I wore to Game of Thrones premiere when we went to the Alamo Draft House. Like, I've been feeling Game of Thrones nostalgic. Like, I was seeing, the throwbacks for Feast of Thrones, where we used to make a big
Game of Thrones cookbook.
Game of Thrones styled meals, feasts.
Yes,
for
we were
the
such nerds for these
premieres or
books.
the finales.
We were such nerds for these books before the show came out. We were like having feasts for them and stuff. People were like, what are y'all even doing? Had no idea 3 years later it'd be a cultural phenomenon.
Right.
But hey, life's funny.
Lemon cakes.
That way. We liked them before they were cool. That's that kind of thing. Lemon cakes. Oh my God.
Yeah, see, if you read the books, you have to have lemon cakes.
So we're rambling now, but you can see this is a world that we love. We love to talk about it, but we'd love to know what you guys thought about this episode. I've heard some people say they're like, it was fine, but after an episode like the one before, we kind of expected that. So I'd love to know what you think about this episode overall, guys. So drop in the comments and let us know, and we will talk to you there.